All right, hi everyone. My name is Kaylin, and I am here with one of our Dustless Blasting business owners, Patrick Grimes from ProBlast of South Florida. And now Patrick is actually here to pick up his third machine here from us, and he is picking up our dual 800 mobile and driving back to Florida today. So, first things first, I want people to kind of get to know you, understand your background, how you got into this business, and then we can talk about how your business has grown to you leading to this purchase of the 800 dual. But can you tell me just a little bit about your background before you got into owning your own dustless blasting business?
Before the dustless blasting, for about 20 years, I was a general contractor, property manager, doing remodeling, repairs of homes and buildings. Yeah. And as soon as about the 20-year mark, I just got burnt out from it.
Yeah. And
scoured the internet for probably a year until I came across dustless blasting.
Okay. And so with your contracting work, had you ever sandblasted anything before?
Never. I don't even think I've ever seen it.
In person. So that's what's always so crazy to me is when I hear people who haven't, really never dealt with the surface preparation industry before and who do this. So how was that transition from never doing it to owning your own business?
I found it very easy.
Really?
Yeah, very easy.
What did you see was like the biggest learning curve in the beginning? And if people just kind of get past that, it's smooth sailing.
I think the biggest learning curve is not the equipment. Anybody can learn this equipment in hours and days, if you really want to be serious, maybe a few weeks. Equipment is easy to use. The biggest learning curve is the estimates.
Okay, yeah.
What am I going to charge for this job? Because obviously a lot of people want to charge hourly by day. No customers want to hear that.
Yeah.
That's an open checkbook. Hey, I'm going to charge you $500 an hour. Well, how many hours is it going to take? I don't know.
Right. And does that get easier only because you're, over time you're doing more jobs and you're kind of figuring it out quicker? Or is like doing a test blast something that you would recommend in the beginning? Or is there anything that kind of helps? Or is it pretty much just you doing it?
It does get easier, but with the larger projects, when you're talking $50, $70, $80, $100,000 jobs, it does get complicated because there are some projects that we can't measure.
Yeah.
When you get called to a project and there's just piping and steel beams running every which direction, you can't measure that.
Right.
So now I'm trying to figure out, I've done projects like this before, how many days is it going to take me? And if I can get a good day, then I'll break it down mathematically to where the customer is going to agree with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably most people's answer too, as far as like the most difficult part in the beginning is figuring out what to charge.
Yeah, that's the most challenge. The biggest challenge is that, not the equipment. Equipment's easy. Okay. I can teach my son to use the equipment.
I was telling Jennifer, when I could learn how to turn that thing on and off, I was pretty much set from then. So a common question we get is about abrasives. Starting out, a lot of people aren't really familiar with what all is out there and what is appropriate to use on, different coatings. So can you tell me what that learning process was like for you?
Well, I asked questions myself in the beginning, but what we do now is we start out with a very fine media if it's something that can be damaged, like automotive. Matter of fact, I just put a quote out to do a statue. I think the statue is it's probably worth $300,000, and they're very concerned about that. So what we'll do is we'll choose a very fine media,
okay,
and we'll start running our tests when we get on site. And if we find the fine media is not cutting fast enough, we're always in a position to where we carry a lot of different medias. So we'll step it up to a medium or an aggressive. But that's for your strange items. When you're dealing with steel or concrete, you know that you're going to go with something to medium.
Right.
When you're dealing with a car, you want to go with something medium to a fine. And wood, you always want to do fine. Mm-hmm. So we'll start out with the fine medias and work up from there if it's something that we haven't done.
Okay. Yeah, because you can always go more aggressive, but once you've gone too aggressive, you're kind of in a pickle.
You can go up, but you can't go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you started getting customers and really what jobs you were taking on in the beginning?
Well, in the beginning, we didn't know much, so we just went on the internet, watched a lot of your guys' videos. We registered with Google. We had a website built. We did the flyers, cold calling, mailing letters to property managers, contractors, and little by little it started taking off.
So now how long have you been in business also?
I believe we're going on our fourth year, or we are our fourth year.
Okay. And so 4 years in, you know, in the beginning, I'm sure you were kind of taking on what, anything and
Anything.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay. And now, are you still taking on anything?
Well, we will take on anything if you pay my price.
Okay.
But no, we as of now, we're going for the larger jobs.
Okay. And why is that?
The smaller jobs are not worth our time. From our experience, let's just say we go do a $1,500 driveway, remove the coating, maybe apply a new coating. It's just, they want the world for $1,500.
Got it.
We go do a $100,000 job, we're in and out in 2, 3, 4 weeks, they shake your hand and you never see them again.
And you're not the only one who's said this to me before. You know, a lot of people have said, hey, after a year of doing this, I've figured out that getting in touch with local contractors or taking on commercial and industrial work is kind of where I'm at. And so how has that been, going from taking on anything and everything? Is there any advice you would give to people who are wanting to do more commercial work?
Well, if they want to do more commercial work, well, first I recommend you start out with the small stuff.
Okay.
If you've never done this before, you got to start out with the small stuff like we did. You know, furniture, cars, doors, you know, whatever. Start out with the small stuff, get to know your equipment, and just figure out where you want to go. And then if you want to go into the bigger stuff, after you learn the small stuff, then you got to advertise for it.
Well, can you tell me what you're most excited about with this dual?
Well, what I'm most excited about with the DB800 Dual is the power,
Okay.
and I can run 2 operators at once.
Yes, that is, I'm sure, a game changer on those big commercial jobs.
We're gonna find out this coming Monday. We have a pool to do at the Singer Island Marriott Hotel, which is a huge pool, 2 stories up. I know the equipment can handle the job because we have your equipment, but now we want to put the Dual to this test.
So can you tell me what it looked like? Because originally you started off with our 500 Mobile S, and then how we've kind of gotten here. What has led you to saying, you know, hey, I need the Dual?
Our projects, they're getting tremendously big. We're doing commercial, industrial, some government jobs, and to show up with, and the DB500 will get it done. The DB500 will get any job done.
Yeah.
But I need it done in days, not weeks.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's exactly, you know, it's kind of hard to explain to people our product because we like to say, you know, they all do the same thing, but it's how quickly
Correct.
do you need it done. So I'm glad you said that. But you also just told me that you landed a job. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I just drove from Florida to Texas, and as soon as I walked in the door, I met with Rhonda.
Yeah.
It's the first time I met her, and she's very lovely, by the way.
Shout out to Rhonda.
And she had to step out to take a phone call, and as she stepped out, I got a call, and it was a quote that we put in on a project in Wellington, Florida for $80,000, and they called to say that we want to move forward. So I just traveled here, and I already closed another $80,000 that the DB800 Dual will be going to.
Well, something that we do get a lot that I want you to kind of address, because I'm sure you've dealt with other people in your area near you as far as dustless blasters, and people always ask me, hey, Kaylin, you know, I'm really interested in this, but you know, I feel like it's going to be competitive. I feel like there's going to be a lot of competition. And what I tell people is like, hey, just because you've got a machine and you're doing commercial jobs, the guy down the street might only be doing pools or might only be doing this. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but tell me how you view competition.
I'm not nervous with the competition. Matter of fact, I don't know how the other dustless blasters are, but I'm a dustless blaster that will train and help other dustless blasters. Matter of fact, I was just telling Rhonda, there's another blaster that just opened up in West Palm Beach, and I've actually brought him on a couple of jobs to train his guy. Yeah. And also I've gotten some inquiries that people wanted quotes on, and when I looked at the inquiry, I just, you know, I'm telling myself I don't have no time for this, so I sent it to a couple other blasters that are right down the road from me, and I even helped them with the quote.
That's awesome.
But when I looked up Florida, I just Googled how many people live in Florida. There's approximately 20 million people in Florida. So if there's 10, 20 dustless blasters in Florida, it doesn't bother me because I got 20 million clients that I can choose from.
Right, it's like a painter. You know, what if we had one painter in the Houston area?
Right.
Yeah. And I do love that you help our other contractors out. I mean, I've seen you very active on our Facebook group, and you are always, I mean, people are literally just tagging you nonstop. Hey, Patrick, what do you think of this? And you're just so eager to help. And
I love to help. I get calls from New York, from California, from I think even Alaska, someone called me. And even my own town, Florida. So I help any blaster I can when I have time.
That's awesome. What would you say to people who are just starting out, or they're considering purchasing a business? They have no sandblasting experience. What would you say to them? Just a few things of advice.
Well, main is don't give up. I see units for sale, and I believe people are giving up too easy. They bought a rig, whether they paid cash or financed it. They got a business card and a website. Great. Doesn't mean your phone's going to ring automatically. You got to go out there and make it ring.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't rang in the 1, 2, or 3 months, it takes time. Give it a year. Give it 2 years. You have to put everything you got into it. Don't just put your equipment up for sale because you haven't made one job in 2 months. It doesn't work that way. In the beginning, we came up with a one-page letter with maybe one sentence, who we are. We Googled every property management, every property manager, contractors, anybody that we wanted to get in front of. We sent that personal letter to them, just saying, hey, who we are, we're here, this is what we do. If you need us, give us a call. I mean, you have to send out 1,000 envelopes to get 4 calls. That's just the name of the game. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
It really is a numbers game, which is why our phone is constantly ringing, because we put out so much, we get it to ring. And now I probably do $1.5 million of estimates per year, maybe 2 million we did in estimates one year. I could do one estimate that's worth 400 grand.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say with that is, if I put out 30 estimates in 1 month, if I close 4 deals, I'm happy.
Right.
You can't expect to close. If you close every one of those estimates, you're too cheap.
Right. Yeah, so stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns. So for 30 estimates a month, if I close 3 or 4 that are good ones, one estimate could be 10,000, one estimate could be 40,000, one estimate could be 90,000. I couldn't handle, if I put out 30 estimates a month and all 30 people said, great, let's do it, I say, what?
Looking back, would you do it all over again?
If I could go back to day one, knowing what I know now, I'd be buying the DB800 Dual the first day.
We live and we learn, yeah. Oh, that's great though. I'm really, really thrilled for you guys, honestly. So it's really cool to see your business and how it's taken off.